If you've got listings sitting on Paperstac and they're not selling, there's probably 5 reasons why. We see these same 5 reasons repeated every single week. Today, we're going to go through them, show you how to fix them so your listing sells fast and doesn't sit there waiting to close. Welcome back to the Paperstac podcast. My name is Rick Allen. This is Brett Burky, and we are back from the dead. It's been a while.
Since November.
Wow, we took a little hiatus, a sabbatical, if you will, just to focus on the business and start growing things. We're really excited what we have coming out, and wanted to start jumping back into the podcast stuff. And we had so many people reach out and say,
"Where's it at?
Where's the podcast at?" I've started to watch them all over again, rewatching episodes. So we wanted to cut back, start providing some feedback, some knowledge for everybody. And what do you got? What do you got in store for us today?
All right. For context, this video is strictly focused on the seller. It's not being talked about from a broker's perspective or somebody who's not seen it. We actually have seen the problems. We see what's happening, and we want to address it. So we're going to be talking about the couple of different stages of pricing, negotiation, closing, and post-sale. Some of the mistakes we see happen. Doesn't always happen, but they happen. And so fixing these things will just help you as a seller become that much better of a seller. So, Rick, what do we have for number 1?
Got to be the number one mistake I see people make, and it's stuff. It's a mistake I've made, is pricing your asset unrealistically. Like if you have unrealistic expectations on what you should be getting for your asset, there's a good chance it's not going to sell. I think what happens a lot of the times is sellers anchor their price point to what they purchased the note for, right?
Yeah.
And which is, everyone's got target yields they need to hit. If you're buying something and you want to sell it, you obviously want to make a profit. So you tie it to what you paid for it. And that can work a lot of the times. If you've got a performing loan, you've made money on it. Maybe it was a non-performing loan. You turned it performing. You gathered some payments. You've got a solid pay history now, and you tie it to that price point. What you really need to understand is just like you have a target yield that you're trying to hit, buyers have a yield that they're trying to hit. Anybody who's got a fund that they're working, or if they've got a self-directed retirement account, they're targeting a specific yield. And they're going to anchor their bid to the yield that they need to hit. If you have set your listing price so high that they look at it and say, there's no chance I'm going to get to the yield I want, they're going to move on to the next note.
Yeah. And
so you got to understand that. If you have an asset that just sits there for 30 days, you get some interaction, but you get no bids, the marketplace voted and your price is too high. I mean, that's pretty much how you have to look at it. Price dictates everything. And what's interesting is it's a floating number. There's usually a range of what buyers are trying to hit for their target yield. And it can float up or it can float down. When interest rates are 2 or 3%, people are happy getting 8%.
Right.
If you're, getting, if your interest rates are 6.5%, 7.5%, now I'm seeing double digits are kind of the minimum, right? You're looking at, maybe if it's a super clean asset with a lot of equity and it's just an A borrower, it's a non-risky loan, you might get somebody at an 8 or a 9, but really I'm seeing people targeting that 11, 12, and even higher. There's some people that are very aggressive looking 18%. Look, if somebody's targeting an 18% return, that's one thing. We can't always anticipate that, or you're not going to sell everybody. But if you have it, if you understand yield, you understand what the market is dictating, it should allow you to price your asset accordingly. And if you run a 30-day test and you don't get bids, you should know that, hey, probably the reason is your price is too high and you're going to have to make an adjustment.
2 things to add to that. One is that when you're listing an asset, when you go to list it for sale, there is a way to list by yield. I would say play with the numbers, put in a different yield. And if that sale price still meets your criteria, go for it. I mean, if you're still making money at a 12, whatever, just try to make it attractive for the buyer. Second, I would also say like a metric that you want to definitely beat is what's going on in the S&P. So if if you see what that's at, where, hey, why would I buy this note if I could just put my money in the S&P, which is not all, I mean, it's not 100%, perfect, but it's pretty damn close. So like it's a good metric.
Yeah, it's great.
And so you can measure against those two things and know that you can list by yield. That's probably the best way to do it. And then once you do it, when you list by yield, the conversations, I feel, become a little bit more professional. When you just put it at like 50,000, it's like, why 50,000? When you're doing a 12% yield, that might be $48,193.58. And so when someone sees that and you say, hey, this is I'm listing it for you to get a 12% yield. This is a 12% yield. A buyer might be like, okay, look, they're trying to do right by me. They're actually a real seller, not just testing the air and going, hey, this is where I want it to be. I think it's a better way to list.
Yeah, definitely. That brings us to the number 2 mistake I see people make, and that's not having payment history or not having updated payment history.
Yeah, that's a simple one. That's a real simple one.
It's like I want to say the single most important document, but if you have payment history available, people can see it. And if you're selling a performing loan and you have good payment history, like that's your strongest card. Like lead with it. Yeah. Be like, look, I got great payment history. I got a great borrower. Look at this payment history. Mm-hmm. They don't miss a date. That's something that you just got to have. If it's a non-performing loan, your payment history is obviously, not your strongest leading document, but it's important to have it because the buyers still want to know, like, hey, when did they stop paying? Mm-hmm. And then, they might ask for something else like servicing notes so they can put the story together, but you got to have payment history. You should really never list a loan if it doesn't have the payment history there. So go to your servicer, ask, if you can do it online and request it through their portal. Just download the payment history, update it. I know we're integrated with a couple servicers to where the payment history is updated daily. Mm-hmm. And that is it. When it comes to payment history, you want the freshest data possible. So if your servicer is one that integrates with us, you should link the account to your servicing account so that way you get nightly updates and you don't even have to worry about the payment history. Mm-hmm. But it is so important to have that piece of information available.
Very true. All right, and so now we're on to the third mistake that sellers make, and that is doing weak seller comments.
What are weak seller comments? Like listing description stuff?
Yeah, like when you're listing a note for sale, we give you the option of having a sub headline so that you can list whatever you want to say there, and then a whole big old box where you can actually put the story. And nowadays it's so easy. I mean, just go and take your note to ChatGPT and just have it do it if you don't want to do it. But there's some things you definitely need to have in there. Why are you selling? Maybe a little bit of story on the borrower, especially if it's land. Like a lot of times we find with people that list land, why does this person buy this desert square? Or why did this person buy this piece of property out in the middle of nowhere? Are they bugging out? Or what are they doing? What are they doing with the piece of land? What's their story? Yeah. Are they going to build a house on it? Well, that makes for a lot better note if they are. So things like that. You want to tell the story of the borrower. Is it professionally serviced? Yeah. You need to have that one in there. These are questions that people are going to ask. And then lastly, in the new system, we've already picked this in because we didn't in the current one, but what was the down payment? What was the down payment? People are going to ask you what the down payment was. And sometimes you can kind of guess it if it's a new note, if the UPB and the original sale price is different. You're like, I kind of do the math. But if it's a couple of years old, it gets less important the longer it goes. But if it's a newer note, understanding what the down payment is, what's their skin in the game, those type of things inside the seller comments. And then also too, along with the seller comments, I guess it kind of goes in that same area of the site, is if you got pictures, put them in there. Yeah. Pictures, I mean, we just used to Google Earth, it's, you might see 10 Google Earth pictures in one beautiful photo and you're like, oh, what's this beautiful photo? Yeah. You're going to go to that.
You want to put anything you can, if it's don't just put it's a loan that was originated last year on a single family in Texas. It's like, hey, look, this was originated October of 2025, 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Arlington Heights. As much information you can get there. Tell the story of the loan, the borrower, everything going on there. It's really the most underutilized real estate on the platform. And by real estate, I mean just section on the platform. So powerful. And one of the things that we see is we see the stuff that sits there and people call up and say, my loan's not getting any bids. What's going on? I say, well, let me, look at you got this, you got that. I was like, oh, your seller description, it's terrible. And it's really, you can write bullet points down on the stuff and the story you want to tell. And put it into one of the AI, Chat or Claude or whatever, Gemini, and you can generate a really good story. You can tell it what to do, reduce it a little bit, make it a little bit more here or there, a little tweak. But I mean, here, like for example, take a look at these two seller comments or seller listings that we're going to put up right now, and you can see the difference. If you just look at them, they're saying the same thing, but one of them is drastically different. And this is what's really going to help sell your asset and do it quickly.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's good, Rick. So what's the next one?
We have two of them, and they go together because they both tie into something big, which is seller reputation. Ooh. Right? Yeah. If I touch the stove and I get burned once, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to go burn myself again. But it's these next two. One is not disclosing known issues with the loan, and the other one is not following through on post-closing, like transferring the loan from one servicer to the next. So we'll start with the first one. If you're selling something on the platform and you know there's an issue, maybe there's past due taxes, maybe it's a BK loan, and this actually just came up to where it was a loan that was in Chapter 13, they were paying, and the seller says in the listing description, hey, bankruptcy loan, the seller's been paying, so they've just had a few hiccups recently, but it's been a pretty good performing BK loan. That is something you want to disclose, right? Yeah. Past due taxes, disclose that. If there's potential title issues, I understand a lot of people are like, well, I just got to get rid of this. Well, I understand that, but if you go ahead and sell something on the platform and it's riddled with problems that they don't find, a sinkhole or something along those lines, stuff that's not necessarily going to show up right in the loan documentation or the servicing notes, and they buy this, one, if you know about it, there's potential that they can come back. They can come back at you. Can they win in court? I don't know, but they can potentially have legal recourse against you and make your life very difficult over the months or years to come. But the thing that really sticks is it's a small community. You get a reputation, and people will not only not bid on your assets in the forums and the chats and the Facebook groups, your name comes up.
Yeah.
Don't buy from this person. They are riddled. They sell bad assets or something along those lines. So if you sell something, disclose it. If something comes up after the closing, do what you can to help remedy the situation. Mm-hmm. That's a big one.
Yeah, there's been times in the past where someone was trying to sell something with like a $70,000 HOA lien, and I think they knew about it. And so the thing is, we kind of said, hey, we don't want to just address that because, it's kind of a big deal. And when they did, funny enough, a group of lawyers bought it, and I don't know what their play was, how they were going to do it, but they're like, this is great. We want it because they solved the problem. They're like, oh, we got the team to solve this. We're lawyers. Right. So they're like, we can figure this out on our own. Yep. Unlike the other person that was bidding on, I was like, holy crap, what am I going to do with this? And so, what's that? One man's trash is another man's treasure.
I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it could turn out to be a good thing.
Yeah. So that brings us into our fifth and final one. Mistakes that sellers make is not following through on the servicing transfer and not getting the documents needed. If your loan is serviced by a professional servicer, it's really kind of seamless. You don't have to deal with anything. The servicers talk together. Where we run into the biggest issues is with somebody self-servicing. Ooh. And then the incoming servicer is a professional servicer, and they're requiring, hey, I need the social security number. I need this. I need that. Number. The TIN or whatever it is. And the seller is like, well, I got my money. And they go dark, or they'll just drag their feet, difficult with it. Look, I've seen, a couple sellers do this, and it usually winds up on my desk. That's why Brett and I have to intervene and try to help out to get this stuff transferred. But I also know the reputation of that seller is getting completely tarnished to where the buyer is like, hey, I don't hold you guys responsible, but I just want you to know I'll never buy from that guy again. And I'm going to let the rest of the note buying community know not to deal with that guy again. It's at the end of the day, you're on the platform to do business. This is not an industry that's you can just burn bridges and it's not come back to haunt you. Everyone's here to do good business together. So do good business. It's a little extra legwork. Yeah. If you have to re-execute a document because there was an error on the assignment.
Whoop-de-doo, we set it up for you.
We do everything for you. But be a good steward and be a good counterparty when it comes time to post-closing activities. And really, that's what it is. It's not just the servicing transfer. It's all the post-closing activities that happen. By the way, you're bound by contract in the purchase sale agreement to do that. So,
and do unto others as have others done unto you.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the same thing. If the shoe was on the other foot, I mean, you'd want to do that. I mean, we've banned a seller. I mean, like, they're not coming back after one of their transactions. Like, this guy is too much headache. It's not worth the time or the money. Who cares? He's gone. And so like, and then now I don't know where they would go. But you know, they made his life a living hell. I mean, I just kind of watched it from the sidelines, but
yeah. So so just to revisit the five mistakes. If you're a seller, you want to try to
I got a bonus one
to avoid. Too. Oh, give me the bonus one.
So the bonus one is that we have a lot of buyers with a saved search set up. And I will say, just from what I've seen, you get one shot. When your listing goes live, that email goes out. So if it's Friday afternoon at 4, you know, and you're about to list your note, it's going to go out at Friday at 4. And so if people are checked out and they're gone, it goes in the inbox and it starts going down the bottom. So what happens on Monday? Someone's like, oh my God, look at all this email. They just go, screw it. They delete everything. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday, they're back in there.
So you're saying pro tip, list on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I say list on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Get your stuff set up, have it ready to go. All you have to do is that would be kind of cool, like a scheduling feature. But like just have it like, you know, you come in on Tuesday and just hit on, activate at like 10 a.m. And then you're going to get the most business or most interaction because that's going to hit somebody's inbox when they're probably in their inbox looking for stuff. And like, oh shoot, what's this? Oh, that matches. Boom. Friday afternoon, they're gone. Their mind's someplace else. Every seller I talk to that's a new seller and they're on, they'll say, hey, how's my listing look? Looks great. Wait till Tuesday. That's a pro tip.
There you go. That's the pro tip. So 1, don't price it unrealistically. What was 2? Pay history.
Pay history.
If you've got your pay history, make sure you're leading with pay history. 3 is weak seller descriptions. 4 is it has
disclose.
Yeah, if you have something wrong with the asset or something you know about, disclose it. And then be a good steward is the final one. You know, be there for the post-closing activities, whether it's a servicing transfer, re-executing documents, and Brett's bonus pro tip, list on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So those things, if you do those, you've drastically improved your chances of selling something. Next up, we're going to talk about teaser alert for you buyers out there. What can you do to avoid these mistakes that buyers make when bidding on our platform?
Yep. So we'll see you on that one. See ya.